The claim of this book is that global liberalism, after reaching its peak in the post-Cold War period, is finally collapsing. This is an enormous claim, not just in terms of its ramifications for the world, but also in terms of simply understanding why it is happening and what it means. Liberalism as a project, as a global project, is around half a millennium old. The ideology of liberalism today permeates the way we think at the deepest and most fundamental level, about the economy, about human autonomy, about the common good, really about everything. This means that even if the thesis of this book is correct, it is an extremely difficult topic to write about simply because it is so all-encompassing and so complex. To write about the collapse of global liberalism, we must first understand what liberalism is. In recent years, an extensive literature has emerged on post-liberalism, that is, on a political ideology that attempts to recognize the limitations of liberalism and build beyond it. The post-liberal movement has mainly arisen out of theology and philosophy, and finds its basis in critiquing the atomizing tendencies of liberalism and the destructive excesses of liberal capitalism. It extends beyond simple theological critique, however, and touches on moral and political issues. In the sphere of political philosophy, we have the work of John Gray, Patrick Deneen, Alastair MacIntyre, to name but a few. No doubt the present book is more than a little inspired by this work. However, such work remains highly theoretical, and there is no easy way to apply it to what is essentially an empirical, historical, or more properly, meta-historical claim, namely, that liberalism is collapsing. When dealing with meta-history, we only really have one framework, a Hegelian one. By meta-history, I do not mean historiography. Historiography being something like the epistemology of historical inquiry. Rather, I mean an attempt to understand the unfolding of history as being driven at the most basic level by a series of discernible abstract ideas. Even Marxian historical materialism, read correctly, attempts this type of meta-history. The accumulation of capital is ultimately driven by human attempts to gain wealth through commercial activity, and this requires people, capitalists in the Marxian framing, who formulate these abstract ideas and pursue them. There is no singular correct meta-history that answers all the questions of historical development. History is far too complicated for that, but some ideas have a larger impact than others. And this book argues that the idea that has had the largest impact on Western societies, and by extension the world, in the past 500 years, has been the liberal idea.